to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Donna, would you lead us in prayer?
Dear Heavenly Father, we are thankful for this opportunity to come together as members of a wonderful organization that have a service mind at all times. We are thankful for the food that's been provided, thankful for the hands that prepared it. Please bless all of us that are here today and in our daily lives. May we always look to you for guidance. Please bless those who are unable physically to be with us today and bless them in their health. We thank you again for all of your blessings. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Well, I don't see Nelson, so I get to lead us in song today. First verse of Rotary.
R-O-T-A-R-Y, that spells Rotary. R-O-T-A-R-Y is known on land and sea. From north to south, from east to west, he profits most who serves the best. R-O-T-A-R-Y, that spells Rotary.
That was good. Donna was pulling double duty today. She was our door greeter. She did an excellent job. I don't see that we have any birthdays or club anniversaries or wedding anniversaries, unless somebody wants to admit to one. So, Sergeant Arnold, do you have a report for us today?
I'm good. I'll work on something.
He's got something exciting he's planning
Johnny
on.
has that one joke still hanging.
Johnny, he's offered you a chance to tell one more
You don't
joke.
want to hear the one I have today.
Okay.
I'm going to do a package.
We have company.
Dan, are you doing it there? Do a little photo opportunity? Secretary's report, please.
Okay, I'll show that we have 25 Rotarians here today. We also have Joseph from the Batesville Guard with us again. Thank you, Joseph, for being here. And Steve Massey has us kind of sort of guest with him.
I don't know how she gets billed as a kind of sort of guest, but since school hasn't started yet, my wife Ellen is
Part-time Rotary. Okay, and just a couple of reminders. I was passing around a sign-up sheet for the Howard L. House Memorial Golf Tournament. First Community Bank has approached us in need of some volunteers to help with that two-day golf tournament. So if you are able to work a morning or an afternoon shift on either Friday or Saturday, August 5th or 6th, please let me know so that we can kind of help them out if we can.
Hey Amanda, that's Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Saturday and Sunday, August 5th and 6th. Also, I know we've got a lot of volunteer opportunities coming around here lately. Remember to let me know if you sign up for any of those volunteer hours so that I can put your makeups into that DB.
Yeah, it's important for us to report that to Rotary International, how many hours we have in service. So good. Anything else, Amanda?
That's it for today.
Okay. I don't see Dwight here, but I think invoices were mailed recently, so be looking for those. Service chair, Deanna.
Yes. I want to remind you guys of a couple of things. Besides the golf tournament that was just routed, the canoe race where we greet the Boy Scouts when they come in, that also has been routed, and that's from 3 to 5 the last Saturday of this month. I think it's the 29th. And for those of you who have done that before, usually we're there, we're cooking, we're putting everything together. It's really, you stand there, kind of do nothing, and then all of a sudden you're really, really busy. But they're doing it a lot different this year. The Kiwanis are preparing little picnic sacks for the children at their church. So we'll just be helping them pass out bags that'll already have their sandwich, chips, and cookie inside. So it's going to be a lot easier than it has been in the past. So we need some help for 2 hours on that. And then I wanted to mention that Batesville Help and Hope is partnering with other United Way funded partners, and we're trying to get gently used, nearly new outfits for kids who are going back to school. So if you guys have any school-age kids like 0 to 18, you could donate those outfits to either Family Violence Prevention Resale Shop or the community school resale shop. I can get you those addresses. One is on Water Street, one is right by, across from Palms X home at the China, the Fay restaurant. And we're making those collections all during the month of July, and then in August they'll get to go shopping. So we'd love for you guys to help us out with that. If you have any questions, I can give you more detail offline.
Thank you,
And
Deanna.
then, oops.
Go ahead.
The opportunities just keep coming. The fair is happening this week. We did not get asked to take up tickets, but for those of you who are disappointed by that, there's an air-conditioned opportunity, and it is selling lemonade for Main Street, Batesville. They need help all shifts, all nights, and I have a contact on that if you would be willing to help out Main Street, Batesville, sell their lemonade. Okay? So get with me afterwards if I can help you, help these folks. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Deanna. Butch, what you got?
One more opportunity, the swim meet this weekend, the 22nd, at the rec center. 2-hour shifts, 9 to 3. If anybody wants to add, I think we've got 2 names. If anybody else wants to go, let me know.
Thank you, Butch. I have the sign-up sheet for the canoe race. It's already been around once. If you haven't signed up, I'll leave it up here for you. Just come by afterwards and sign up. Jacob, you want to say something?
Yeah, to piggyback off the canoe race, it's the 51st year of the White River Canoe Race, so it's a big opportunity to come out and show our support. Also, that same weekend, being a fellow Cave Cityan, the Cave City Watermelon Festival is that same weekend. So that morning, if you have nothing to do, come up and enjoy some pancake breakfast up there before the parade. I'll be cooking a couple hundred pancakes. So, but anyway, we appreciate that support as well.
Great. The other things I was going to mention in the swim meet, so I appreciate Butch saying that. August 7th is the district governor's official meeting with us, so I need some more books. She's asked us to do a literacy project in lieu of a speaker's gift. So let's have a lot of books donated to our local library. If you have any books, please bring them here and we'll donate them on that day. And then August 2nd, obviously, at 5:30 is our first night to volunteer at Help and Hope. That's at 5:30 on a Wednesday. Please put that on your calendar. I want to give you 2 more events. In September 14th through 16th, you probably remember us talking about this. We're going to cooperate with the city and help work with the Kiwanis Club on a fall outdoor sports show. You may remember we talked about that last year. Well, we are in process of doing that September 14th through 16th. Please put those dates on your calendar and protect them if you will. And then October 24th is World Polio Day, and your board has talked about doing something in recognition of World Polio Day. That's a Tuesday, so be thinking about that as well. There's nothing else, and I'll let Amanda come up and introduce our speaker today.
Today we have with us Andrea Lee, who's the auditor of the state of Arkansas. In 2014, she was elected the 40th auditor of the state. As auditor, Andrea is putting her experience to work as the state's general accountant, administrator of the Arkansas Unclaimed Property Act, and payroll officer for over 600 state employees and elected officials. She is partnering with businesses to save money and is using technology to improve the way unclaimed property is reported to the state and returned to the rightful owners. She is also working to reduce operating expenses and establish transparency as the foundation of the auditor's office. Andrea has nearly 2 decades of leadership experience in Arkansas. She served on the Pope County Quorum Court, the Russellville City Council, and 3 terms in the Arkansas General Assembly before being elected Auditor of State. In the General Assembly, she championed budgetary conservatism and non-offensive fiscal management for state government. These are values which she brings with her to the state auditor's office. She is a passionate advocate for good government and as a justice of the peace, she led the debt-free construction of new detention center in Pope County. As a legislator, she served as chair for the state agency, and in this role, she sought to make state government more efficient and less expensive. Andrea graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Emergency Administration and Management from Arkansas Tech University at the age of 47 and continues to advocate for non-traditional students to earn to school and complete a degree. She is a proud daughter, wife, and mother of 2 U.S. veterans. With family ties to Arkansas, she and her husband Philip returned in 1982. They have 3 grown children and 3 grandchildren. And I just want to apologize for my speech. I'm going through some stuff right now, and it's not very good. But please welcome them to the stage.
I love whoever wrote that because I sound really awesome. I am going to, you know what? Can I set this right here? I am a mover, and so standing behind that's going to drive me nuts. Will it bother you if I'm like out here? And can everyone hear me? I've never had a problem before, so I'm not worried. Just ask my husband. Okay, first, thank you for having me. I love coming and speaking to groups of business people and community leaders. I was, whoa, hey, lots of pictures going on here. Oh, hey, shall I do an action shot?
It'll be in the card.
I know, oh, hey, hey, okay. We'll just smile and kind of do that. Batesville holds a special place in my heart because for the 6 years I served in the House, I was served with James McLean, as many of you probably know, and we're very good friends, and I will harass him when I leave that he wasn't here today because I texted him and let him know I was going to be here. But I also see State Representative James Sturch is here, who we never got to serve together, but we got to be good friends there in the Capitol. So thank you for being here today. What does the state auditor do? It is the most interesting, fascinating office of all the constitutional offices. Did you bring the flag in? Okay, so this is Sam Zhang from my office. He is my right-hand man and is excellent. I'm going to give away a flag today for anyone who can answer this trivia question. How many constitutional officers are there in the state of Arkansas?
7.
Man, you guys are like the smartest Rotary Club. I can't tell you how many times I've been, I shouldn't say that. I love Rotary, but it's hilarious. I mean, I've gone through people guessing, you know, everything from 20 to 5. So anyway, very good. Can you name them? Governor?
Lieutenant Governor.
AG.
The Attorney General, the State Auditor, the Treasurer, and the
Land Commissioner. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, so I just like to throw that out there. That's my little gimme. So enjoy your Arkansas flag. Way to go. Way to get it. I really think you were the fastest person to answer it of all the groups I've spoken to. Okay, so what do? I view it that I have 3 pots of things that I do. I'm sure years ago when the auditor's office was created and put in the Constitution that they used to audit. They used to do what now legislative audit does. Legislative audit does all your cities, your counties, your schools, etc. They audit me. In fact, I have a meeting tomorrow about the audit going on in my office. So that is a separate entity that does all the audits. What do I audit? Right now, all I audit are businesses for their unclaimed property. And I'll talk about unclaimed property in just a second. So, like I said, we used to audit, I'm sure years ago when the government was smaller, we don't any longer. So one of the main things I do is I look at it as part of a 3-legged stool. You've got Department of Finance and Administration, and they extract all your taxes from you when you get your car tags, your state income tax, etc. The legislature, of course, they decide how the money's going to be spent. Well, the treasurer, so that's one part of the 3-legged stool, the treasurer then takes all that money that comes in and they invest it, they put it in the pots that the legislature told them to, and then the 3rd leg is me. I write the checks. You know, someone's got to be the check writer, and I'm the check writer. Right now, the machine we have that writes checks is about from that wall to about where I'm standing. It's this massive albatross of a machine, 800-pound rolls of checks that go onto it. That's one of the ways I'm trying to change the office by being more efficient, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So writing the checks for the state, I'm part of that 3-legged stool. The second thing I do is, I'm going to drive you nuts, Aaron. I am so sorry.
You're fine.
I am so sorry. I'm forgetting about you.
All you want.
I know. I'm purposely looking over your head. So if anyone watches this on Facebook, they're going to go nuts. The second part I do is, like they said, I'm the payroll officer for a group of about 600 people. Well, why would I be the payroll officer for only 600 state employees? Well, they're not state employees, they're elected officials, so there's no one above them except for the people that elected them. So they're at the top of their office and they needed a separate payroll officer. And someone years ago, I'm sure some guys in a back room smoking cigars made the decision that the person that should do that is the auditor's office, so I do. That includes all your constitutional officers, your 135 legislators, it includes all your judges, it includes all your prosecutors. That group of people all get paid and reimbursed by my office. I handle their traveling expenses, etc. And then the last thing I do, which is actually kind of the most fun thing that I do, is unclaimed property. Unclaimed property, you know what, there might be actually a slide that talks about unclaimed property real quick. Unclaimed property is a weird animal, and DF&A handled it years and years ago. And I think what happened is some elected official who was auditor said, you know what, that's a gold mine. I think I'll take that away from DF&A. Unclaimed property is any financial asset that was forgotten about, was left somewhere, and the person holding that financial asset was not able to find the owner. Well, you've probably heard it advertised as a Great Arkansas Treasure Hunt. I tell people all the time, they'll say, when I speak to them, they'll say, oh, I looked 5 years ago, don't have anything. We get unclaimed property every year. Businesses are required to file with us every single year all of their unclaimed property. Unclaimed property is considered unclaimed after 3 years. After 3 years of being dormant, where the holder was not able to find the owner, it's supposed to get turned over to us. That's for most properties. Some properties, it's a shorter period of time, some a longer period of time. I get frustrated sometimes, and that it goes to my efficient side of me, because a good example is, we were talking with the city clerk here in Batesville. Entergy, and I can pick on Entergy, my husband retired from Entergy. Entergy was sending us unclaimed property of 57 cents for a person, or $1.20 for a person. I was like, what's going on? And those people contact me and say, it's going to cost you more. Oh, Aaron, I'm so sorry. It's going to cost you more to write me and send me that check. Then, you know, why should I do this? I called Entergy and I said, why are your two sides of your accounting department not talking to each other? You're able to find that person to bill them, but you're not able to attach that 57 cents or that $1.10 to their bill. And they were like, well, we'll work on that. So they are working on it. Waste management was another one we had that problem with. But the bulk of it comes from things like life insurance policies. Comes from a deposit you might have put down. It comes from a paycheck. Walmart's one of our biggest companies, as you can imagine, that turns over unclaimed property to us. A paycheck you might have forgotten. Another thing, and there are bankers in the room, I know. How many other bankers are there? Any others? Well, you guys deal with safe deposit boxes, which is just a weird animal. Years ago, safe deposit boxes were something very common that a lot of us rented. They're not being rented as much anymore, but that's something that gets turned over to us too. Now, you want to talk about a whole subject. I could talk about what shows up in safe deposit boxes. Have you two ever opened any? I mean, woo! Is everyone done eating? Because I'll tell you the weirdest things we've had in the last couple years. So my first year as auditor, they get turned over once a year, just like all other property. So my first year as auditor, the young woman that I had handling the safe deposit boxes calls me up. Auditor Lee, you have got to get over here. Now, my executive offices are in the Capitol, but my operational offices are across the street. I was like, oh, Lauren, oh, Lauren. So I get over there, and she holds up this little pill bottle, used pill bottle, has a white substance in it, and she looks at me and she says, meth. And I thought, how do you know what meth looks like? That wasn't what she expected me to say, I don't think. And I stood there for a minute like, what? That's random. And she said, no, look. And she picks up a sheet of paper, handwritten, lined sheet of paper that says Tom's meth recipe. Handwritten out recipe. I'm like, anyway, so we called the state police. They came and got it. The state police said, now no one here took a screenshot of that meth recipe. Of course, I'm looking at that meth recipe thinking, what's the difference between Tom's meth recipe and like Butch's? I kind of wish I'd taken a screenshot, cinnamon, I don't know, what was that? But it turned out that was not meth. Now here's the interesting part about that. So I read the entire sheet that the bank turned over to us. The bank, in their report to us, said marijuana was found in the in the safe deposit box. They called the sheriff, and the sheriff picked up the marijuana, but they sent the meth to the state auditor. Anyway, I'm talking with banks right now, the Banking Association, to work out a better way to manage this. Okay, so the year after that, weird thing that we got, and this is why I asked if everyone's done eating. Now, think to yourself, how do you handle a safe deposit box? So someone decided to put this item in a safe deposit box. They had to drive to the bank, they had to talk to a banker who had to go in and open their key, as you know, and then this person opened their key and then put this in. Okay, now, what's the number one reason why someone didn't pay their safe deposit box for 5 years? They've passed away, or they've moved to another state. So after 5 years, safe deposit boxes are 5, not 3. So then, someone at a bank had to open this and decide it was worth sending to the state auditor's office. Now this item was the only thing in the safe deposit box. It was a ball of human hair, well, we assume human, with fingernail clippings. That's it. That's it. What I thought to myself is, they could have been creative and included like a letter from Elvis, so you assume it's like DNA or something cool. No, that's all that was in the box. So I instituted policies. You're not opening any more boxes without rubber gloves now, and when you do, and I suggest banks do the same, and we're throwing away all biologicals. What do you think some of the most common things in a safe deposit box are? Well, cash is interesting. Why would someone put, we got cash this year, $25,000 of cash in a safe deposit box? Interesting. Paperwork, a lot of random paperwork that you have to go through. Coin collections, jewelry, things like that. What's difficult for me about the safe deposit box is I have not had an auction since I've been in office 2.5 years. And the reason I haven't is I really want to find the owners of this, because the Constitution states that I am the sole decider of what's of value in a safe deposit box. Well, if a ring comes in, I can take a ring to a jeweler and he can say, that's 14 karat gold, this is what the stone is, etc., and give me a value. But this year, last year, I got 3 letters in the safe deposit box. Beautifully handwritten letters, mint condition, in the envelope, with the envelope still, 1942, February of 1942, from Forward Echelon, from a Marine, addressed to a young woman. I'm assuming a young woman at the time. Now I'm assuming she's passed away, and that's why the safe deposit box. Only 3 letters were the only things in that safe deposit box. The first name of the woman in the letter was the same first name as the woman holding the safe deposit box, which tells me what? She didn't marry the man exactly. After reading the letters that were in the safe deposit box, I see why she didn't have them at home and had them in a safe deposit box. So anyone who's a Marine, I'll just leave that there. So a couple things to take from that. One is, what's the value of those letters? Well, it's very valuable to her family if I find her family, but it doesn't really have a monetary value. And so what happens when you do an auction? What do I do with those items? So as you think of me, say a prayer that for wisdom, because before I leave office, I can't keep storing this stuff. I'm going to have an auction at some point. Other interesting things. I love talking about safe deposit boxes because they're so weird. The sad part about safe deposit boxes is you find out families that don't get along, and that's kind of a bummer. It's actually a sad part of anything having to do with unclaimed property. How many times we've had people contact us, a mother or father has died, they contact us and say, I'd like to claim my money, and it turns out they have a sibling, and we'll say, well, it's going to get split between you and your sibling unless you have a probated will. If you don't, then we just split it directly by direct relatives. Evenly by direct relatives. And they'll say, well, I have no idea where my brother is. I haven't spoken to him in 15 years. We had one woman come in and claim for she and her 2 sisters, and she wrote down the sisters. She didn't claim for the sisters, but she wrote down 2 sisters' names, gave us all the information, signed it as an affidavit, etc. And when we did our research, we found out she had 3 sisters. And we called her and said, ma'am, you signed an affidavit saying you only had 2 sisters. We since have turned that over to the prosecutor because it was a legal document, and you actually have 3, and her comment was, we don't like the other one. Well, that's not my problem. My problem is to make sure I get the money to the right people. So things I want to tell people about unclaimed property. Remember where your stuff is as best you can. Now, you're not always going to know. You don't know that you have a credit with Entergy, for example. You may not know you're a beneficiary of a life insurance policy. We had we advertise a lot on Facebook. Cheap, 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 free, 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 actually. A young woman was checking up on Facebook and looked up and checked her mom and her grandmother, etc., and found money for her grandmother. Didn't know how much it was, called her grandmother. Grandmother called us, I don't have a computer, could you help me? Not a problem. I hope you've been seeing, can you go back to the page that has my number and the Facebook on it? Not Facebook, pardon me, website. So she calls us, we said no problem. $100,000. Her husband had passed away 10 years previously, and before he passed away, had just bought this little random term life $100,000 policy, never told her about it, put her down as a beneficiary. Now somehow, a major life insurance company was unable to find a woman who lived in a home for 47 years.
Right.
I'll just leave that there. But somehow we were able to find her on Facebook within 2 months of putting it up there. Okay. One of the motivations, I'm sure, why this money isn't turned over is interest. The longer they hold the money, the longer they make the interest. Half of my office is paid for off the interest of the money I'm holding. Right now we have about $300 million, not thousand, $300 million on the book. We're to hold it forever. It stays on the book forever. I don't hold that money forever. The legislature, in their wisdom, years and years ago, determined that they created a formula, so a certain amount of it, after it's been dormant for a number of years, gets turned over to the state. Not as sheeted, but turned over to the general fund. So last year, when I handed a $20 million check to the governor, I reminded him, I said, now don't forget, if I do my job really well and go through all the money cash I'm holding, you've got to write it out of the general fund. I'm at the top of the United States right now. As a matter of fact, I'm going to brag on myself for just a minute. I'm not very good at that, but I will right now because it's a big deal for Arkansas. I was put on the executive committee of NAPA, which is the only unclaimed property organization, and one of the reasons why is we're doing such an incredible job. I'm at a very high return rate. My return rate is just over 30%. 70% of the money I'm never finding the people. That's sad to me. So if you have a safe deposit box, please tell someone. A couple good reasons to tell someone is either empty the box out, because believe me, there are things we found in the boxes that you don't want your relatives to know you put in there. So empty the boxes out, or else tell someone about the box, because otherwise I'm going to open it, I'm going to read it out loud, and I'm going to tell people like you about it. So if you have a safe deposit box, tell someone about it. If someone close to you dies, probate the will. You'd be surprised how many unprobated wills show up in my office when people find out there's $5,000 or $10,000 for a family. All of a sudden, wills come out of people's back pockets. I don't recognize wills unless they're probated. Find out where your money's. I spoke to one club, and this was one of my favorite stories. And there was a curmudgeon, nothing like you, sir, but there was a curmudgeon that was president of the club, and his wife was secretary. And he kept interrupting me while I was speaking. Well, I know where all my money is. I said, yeah, I'm sure you do, but I've got lots of money, so obviously it's someone. We figure 1-4 Kansas. I went on giving my spiel, and he says to me out loud again, while I'm speaking, he says, well, I'm sure none of that's mine. Oh, yeah, what? I'm confident too, sir. I go on. Well, the third time he goes to say something, his wife elbows him. And the next morning I get an email from his wife. She said, we went home last night, and sure enough, he had $990. And she said, I just wanted you to know. I said, deal with it. Efficiencies. So the check writing machine I told you about is an albatross. No one uses it in state government except for me. And not everyone's using checks anymore. Direct deposit, there are other ways around it. So I'm trying to cut back on the number of things we print. So I just saved up some money, and at the end of the year was able to buy a smaller printer that's going to take already cut box checks. And we've cut way back. I'm in the middle of arm wrestling, and I'll call it that, with Department of Finance Administration over not having to send out a notification when they direct deposit your income tax. We write anywhere from 2 to 100,000 pieces of paper, either checks or notifications a day on that machine. I'm trying to cut it way back. Another efficiency is I got into the office and everyone's on Facebook, and we went on Facebook and exploded. I take pictures. I was at the city of Batesville. They had about just under $1,000. The city of Batesville was due to them an unclaimed property, and I said, would you take a picture with me? And of course, what's the first thing every woman says? And I'm over it now. It's like, guess what? My chin's gonna show, I don't have lipstick on, my hair doesn't look right today, just take the picture and let's put it on Facebook. So I convinced the city clerk to get a picture with me. Well, why does that mean anything? Because it's on Facebook, someone else goes, well, wait a minute, I wonder if the city of, Jonesboro looks at that and they say, wonder if we have money. Well, it just took off. Our money going out went way up because of that. The first year I came in, and Batesville Guard, forgive me, we got the legislature to change a law that said we had to put everyone's name in the paper one day a year. And that's what they used to do years ago. Press Association passed it back in the 60s, early 70s, I think. It was not an efficient way to do it. Not everyone reads a hard copy of the paper. But worse than that, what was a problem with it is, let's say you went to school here in Batesville, and that's where your unclaimed property is. And after you graduated, you moved to Jonesboro. Well, it was only advertised in the Batesville paper. Are you still reading the Batesville paper if you're working and living and your family's in Jonesboro? No, you weren't. So what we did is we had the legislature tweak that law so that instead it was one day a year, all 75 counties. It cost just shy of $200,000 for one day of advertising. So I spent $88,000 my first year, and we returned over 5,000 more actual claims to people with half the money. So we had a great return for that. We do still print every year something in the paper, but what we do instead is we print names and phone numbers and websites, so they go to our website. Other efficiencies, when I came into office, there was 37 employees, there's 27 now. I lost them through attrition, and by talking to them as a state employee, I said, tell me about your job, someone that was retiring or choosing to leave. I'd find out about their job, and then I'd speak with other people in the office and go, can anyone else pick that job up? Sometimes the answer was yes, and sometimes it was no. But we've gone down by 10 employees in the office, and our efficiency went up. Granted, what I did is I did small bumps in pay for everyone since they had taken on more duties. I love this job a lot. I love talking about the job. I love coming and meeting with groups like you. And what I'm going to ask is, when you leave here, if you haven't already gotten on your phone and checked, we did, Sam Zhang with my office did a check on and found 3 people, Donna Cole, Ken Reuter, and John Kent, all members of this that have unclaimed property with us. So go out, tell people, talk about it, pick up a brochure, a fan, a pad, something, and go out and tell other people to go check for their unclaimed property. And if they have any questions, call the number. Our claim agents are really good with you, really patient. Anyway, that's what I have to say. There's always questions left at the end, so I left a few minutes if anyone has questions.
I'm the John Kent. Audrey and I filed a claim for it, and the paperwork we got back was so cumbersome, I decided the $37 wasn't worth it.
That's incredibly common, and that makes me very sad. About how long ago was that?
Oh, 3 months ago.
3 months ago? What was the property for? Do you remember?
Stock that my mother owned with Phillips Petroleum.
Yeah.
Checks.
Oh yeah, it was the checks that had been unclaimed dividend checks.
Got it, got it. And that's another thing I want to tell you. If you're an attorney or you're a CPA, please talk with your businesses. Please talk with your clients. Have them claim their unclaimed property. Go through regularly and have clients claim their unclaimed property. Because as soon as it goes to an heir, like you said, it was your mother's, it becomes more difficult. Because we can't we have to verify that you're really the son. If there's not a probated will, they have to go through getting a death certificate. I am working, and I'm kind of arm twisting. I don't understand why state agencies can't talk to each other. Why, if someone's coming to me to claim money, do I have to tell them to go to another state agency to get a death certificate to send to me? Why can't I talk with DFNAs that handles the death certificates and say, do you have a death certificate on such and such, here's the birth date. So I'm kind of fighting that, and I'll be honest, it's not easy. In fact, people are ducking into doorways when I come. So I'm trying to be a little bit more friendly, and I tend not to be friendly, I tend to be blunt, which ask Sam how well that works for him. But I'm pushing on things like that. It's crazy that the government's already holding that. There's one state, I want to say it's Wisconsin, where when you file your income tax in Wisconsin, they automatically go through, check and see if you have unclaimed property, because they already have all your personal information, and they mail you a check without you having to jump through any hoops. So I'm slowly moving in that direction. But it is hard. There are some claims, there's nothing I can do to make them easier. There's just nothing, especially when it's an airship. So like I said, attorneys and CPAs, please talk with your people. Ask them these questions. I say do a physical checkup every year, and then do a fiscal checkup every year, and include in that fiscal checkup claiming unclaimed property. I always love talking with people who go, I had no idea I had unclaimed property. Check every year. Every year is when we get it. We usually have all the new files uploaded by the end of April is about it. So maybe tax day you could just think of going on and looking. But I'm sorry, if there's a way I can help you, I will. But that's, unfortunately, you're part of that 70% that say, I'm not jumping through any more hoops for $37. In fact, one of the things I stopped doing, we were advertising under $1, under 10, over 10, under 100, over 100. And I dropped under $1. I said, we're not, that's just crazy, because it was costing me as much to send that to you. And instead, I'm trying to get in touch with the company saying, hey guys, figure out how to get it back to the people. Any other questions? I covered everything. Go.
It's sort of, with this case in mind, it's sort of interesting. Audrey and I got, what I started, after Mother died, when I'd get a dividend check, I was just shredding it, okay, because she was gone. And it was a long time before we actually ever filed to get the stock. But we got most of those dividend checks paid to the estate, and how you got 3 or 4 checks is, I can't fathom that.
Believe me, securities is really one of the toughest things we deal with because of that. It's just so varied. Before I came on board and shortly thereafter, there was a gentleman that was in-house handling all of it. And I said, oh, no, we got to get a professional. And so we're in the process of switching all that over. But even still, like you said, the dividend checks will still come in if they didn't go back and get the original stocks. And that happens, that's just one of those difficult ones. Can anyone have an easy one they can tell about? One of the times they had an easy time claiming with me? No. I'm sorry, but that's a tough one.
It's okay, but it just seemed odd. But, I mean, we had been through all this with getting the stock, same paperwork, basically. But
exactly.
I didn't feel like it was worth fooling with.
No, it does get frustrating. I respect that totally.
So is there no sort of, just say, he showed me what I had in unclaimed, and it's Chrysler Capital. It was where I make my van payment all the time. Thinking, well, I had a previous van that got destroyed in the tornado that hit up here, but I'm thinking, is there no regulation of how many attempts they have to make to reach me? Because I've been at the exact same house and phone number since I purchased that first, since I've owed them any money. And
You're
so
exactly right.
Why
we
don't make any attempt to get a hold
right when people start turning over their money, and November is when they turn over their report, we'll get a ton of calls right then, which tells me they didn't send their due diligence prior. What they did is they sent a due diligence letter at the same time they sent us the property. And it's like, no guys. And so we did pass a law this last session that backed that up. So they have to send that due diligence letter no less than 90 days prior to it coming to us, because it's much easier for you to go directly to the holder than it jumping through our hoop. And it's, we're taking it, we've got to put it through our system now. So yeah, we did make one regulation. We also were talking about bumping up, and this is the balance between being business friendly and being an advocate for the people. We're talking about bumping up, but I don't know that we're going to do it that they have to send a certified letter. And that's difficult because now you're looking at sending a certified letter for, a certified letter costs how much to send? $25? And you're looking at sending a certified letter for something less than $25? That's not business friendly. But the threat of it makes them a little bit more encouraging. It encourages them to go out and try and find the owners faster. Yeah.
Pick up the phone, email me.
It becomes,
My address is the regular.
Well, and like the woman that, had $100,000 sitting there for 10 years, and she said, but I've lived here for 47. Why couldn't they find me? Not a lot. How do I enforce that? It's tough. What I have done is if I get people that call me right when the reports are being turned over, I'll say, did you get a due diligence letter? And they say yes. And I say, please send that to me. Please fax it to me. Take a picture with your phone. I want to see the letter. Because then I can call the entity that sent that letter out and said, hey guys, the law says this. But other than that, it's a tough one to enforce. It's a frustration. I mean, ideally, the money shouldn't be coming to me. Ideally, the owners and the holders should be connecting.
So what's the best way for me to go? Just go to the website or call the number and
Either whatever most comfortable for you. Either way.
then I'm going to have paperwork to do.
It depends. It depends on the claim. It could go directly through. We have about 50% of the claims when someone goes online go directly through because they're just easier claims. As soon as you go to an airship, we can't do that online because we have to prove that you're the heir. But if you're the actual owner, you're at the same address, it's the same social, yeah, it should go through online. Try it online. If it doesn't, then call.
Okay.
They will, if you try online and are not able to, it will generate an email to you and give you what you need to do next.
I was gonna say, I did one last month on my phone and got a check in the mail by the end of the month. And that's how easy it was. It was a small check, $3.
Hey, that's one less on my file. I love it. Clear it up, clear it up. Any other questions or thoughts? I really appreciate you all having me here. I hope I've made it fairly clear. If you need any more information, you go to the website. It's a pretty straightforward, easy website to read. If you are a CPA, we are having a training in September on how to do unclaimed property. You'll get 3 CPE credits if you attend. We're putting it on for free because we're wanting businesses to know, attorneys, et cetera, to know as much as they can. It doesn't include CLE, it only includes CPE. But we want to train people as much as possible, be as business friendly as possible. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Madam Auditor, for coming to speak to us today. We're going to donate a book to our local library in your honor.
Oh, thank you.
And the book that I just pulled out randomly is Our Changing Earth. So,
Yay.
if you will, let her draw, the Joker draw, please.
Sorry, I wasn't sitting there.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay, winner, chicken dinner.
424258. 258.
Wrong card.
They feel.
Oh, it's Phil?
They just left with left the tickets here on the table.
You gonna draw for him?
I'd be honorable and cover for them. Unless Phil wins.
That's not the one he would have chosen.
We're videoing this, Phil.
This is one above video.
This is for Phil.
One
Is
above.
everybody in agreement? This go first. Oh.
Sorry, Phil. Get it? Sorry, Phil.
Okay, if there's nothing else for the good of Rotary, we'll end as we always do with the 4-way test and the things we think, say, or do. Number 1.
Is it the truth?
Number 2.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Number 3.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And number 4.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Have a great week.